The Flash Season 5 is returning from its mid-season break in a week on January 15th. Yesterday, I went over 5 things we wanted to see in the back half of our Season 7. A couple of you guys asked me to do the same thing for The Flash Season 5, so here is this video. In this video, I will go over the 5 things that I want to see in the second half of The Flash Season 5, and they're all specific to The Flash and what we've been told about this season so far. Number 5, Impulse should make an appearance. Impulse, aka Bart Allen, is the grandson of Barry Allen and Iris West, and the son of Don Allen, which on the show would make him the nephew of Nora West Allen. He is obviously a speedster named Impulse. Now, on the show, his storyline of a descendant of the Flash, a pretty close descendant of the Flash from the future, coming back in time to either spend time with him or save his life from something, or that and other things, such as in Young Justice, where he came back to prevent the Blue Beetle apocalypse in the future, but his basic storyline was kind of stolen by Nora Allen. Now, this might mean he's never going to appear, as he was replaced as a character by Nora Allen, but I really think if that is true, that was a mistake. Impulse is a pretty iconic character at this point. He's a pretty beloved character from Young Justice, at least, so I do think he should be included on the show eventually, maybe in the future, possibly even as a speedster in 2049. If we are going to explore the future in this season, maybe in 2049 it could be revealed that there is a Flash in that time period named Bart Allen, or maybe his name could be Impulse, but I do think at least he should exist in this universe and in this timeline, and obviously it would be cool if he would appear as well, and if he would appear, that would be a pretty great cliffhanger for the end of this season, although that would be maybe a little bit too similar to the end of Season 4, which is why it's really unfortunate that Nora stole Bart Allen's storyline. They could definitely come up with a new storyline for Bart Allen and a new way for him to be included in the show. Number 4, Matt Letscher should return to the role of Reverse Flash. So, for the first time since The Flash Season 1, Reverse Flash will have a major role in a season of The Flash this season. In Episode 8, it was revealed that Nora has been working with Eobard Thawne this entire time, and we see in the trailer for Episode 10, he will be returning again. He will most likely have a recurring role this season. It's possible he will be the main villain, although I'm not exactly sure about that, but I also think it's possible that they will lead into Season 6, where he could possibly be the main villain. Now, in Episode 8, it was revealed that Reverse Flash is returning, and he's from 2049. It hasn't been really explained yet, all of it, but we did see him, and he's being played by Tom Cavanagh. Now, don't get me wrong, Tom Cavanagh was great in the role. He was a great version of the character in Season 1, but I think this character and this actor should be exclusive to this character when we are in the 2014 to 2015 year in Season 1, because outside of that, it literally does not make any sense. Or any time between when he replaced the real Harrison Wells and the end of Season 1, because after that, he should be played by Matt Letscher. Before that, he should be played by Matt Letscher. And now in The Flash Season 5, this is before or after that. I'm pretty sure it's after in the Reverse Flash's timeline. It didn't really make any sense that he was Tom Cavanagh in Crisis on Earth X. It doesn't really make any sense. He's Tom Cavanagh now in The Flash Season 5, so I do think Matt Letscher should return to the role, and honestly, even though I think Tom Cavanagh is probably a better actor, Matt Letscher is a much more comic book accurate looking Eobard Thawne, which makes sense because he's actually supposed to look like Eobard Thawne, while Tom Cavanagh isn't really. He's supposed to look like Harrison Wells, which is kind of an original character, but I do think it makes so much more sense for Matt Letscher to play the role, and that's definitely something I would prefer to see in the back half of Season 5, because if he isn't returning, it would not make that much sense. Number 3, the further exploration of the future. I touched on this a little bit in the Impulse section in number 5, where I think they should explore the future a little bit more, maybe reveal that Impulse or Bart Allen is a famous speedster in the universe, but I just think we should have more than one episode exploring the world in the vein of Welcome to Earth 2 back in The Flash Season 2, where they had a 2-parter episode exploring Earth 2 a little. They should have the same thing, a 2-parter episode exploring 2049. Maybe they could have some cool references to the flash forwards on Arrow, obviously not spoiling anything that will happen in the future of that, but a little reference here and there, or references to the Justice League or other superheroes we have never seen before, or superheroes we've never even heard about before, like Wonder Woman or Shazam or Aquaman. These references would be great. The exploration of this universe, not really a universe, but this time period, would be very interesting. Now, we are getting at least a little bit of this in episode 10, as Barry will go to the future in the Flash Museum, and he will at least see Nora Allen as she is a little kid. But I do think they should do a little bit more of that, have an entire episode or two exploring the future and having a whole story in 2049. Number 2, there should be a death in Team Flash. Before the season started, we were told that there will be a lot of death this season. This might have been a misdirect, as episode 3 was titled The Death of Vibe, and Cisco did not actually die. Vibe did die for a little bit, technically, as a superhero to the world. Everyone thought he died. Now, I did like this. I love this misdirect very much. It made me really like the episode, but I think that they weren't 100% doing a misdirect. It's possible this episode, this season, will have a lot of death. And when I say there should be a death in Team Flash, I mean one of the superheroes, because if you look back on the show, there's only been one death of a superhero, and that is Ronnie Raymond, aka Firestorm. If I'm missing one, then please remind me in the comments. But the big deaths of the seasons were Season 1, Eddie, not a superhero. Season 2 was Henry Allen, not a superhero. Season 3 was H.R. Wells, not a superhero. And Season 4 was technically Elongated Man, but it turned out he wasn't dead, so no real superheroes have died on Team Flash, and I think that there are a couple characters who are at this point kind of expendable. Specifically, they're not really expendable, but I think that Cisco or Caitlin should be killed off. Now, before you get angry at me for saying that one of these beloved characters should die, I think that, first of all, I do love these characters, especially in Season 1 and 2. These characters and Barry's dynamic really made the show, or at least a little bit, even though they weren't really essential members of Team Flash in the comics. They were welcome additions to the show, and they worked really well on the team. That being said, Season 3 rolled around, and then Season 4, and these characters kind of lost their charm. Cisco and Caitlin didn't really do anything in Season 4. It's possible they wanted to focus more on the Flash or Iris or Elongated Man, but it's also that the reason for that is because they couldn't really think of any good storylines to give Cisco and Caitlin, and I definitely see why. And then in Season 5, they gave Caitlin something to do with her whole story with her father, which is kind of just rehashing things, retconning her origin story, bringing her father, who was supposedly dead, back into the fold. It's not really creating that many new storylines, it's just bringing some old ones back, or changing them. So Cisco and Caitlin, I don't really feel like they can do much more with these characters, and I don't think the writers feel like they could do much more with these characters. I think it's very similar to on Arrow, where in the first 2 seasons they had a very similar dynamic with Oliver, Diggle, and Felicity, which was a great dynamic and a great Team Arrow in the first 2 seasons of the show. But then Season 3 rolled around, Felicity started to deteriorate as a character, and then especially Season 4, she became a horrible monster, and she hasn't really recovered since. Diggle slowly became a less likable character, a less enjoyable character, and a less necessary character. And then Season 5 ended, and they really should have killed him off, because Season 6 rolled around and he became a bad character in the first half of Season 6, and the whole dynamic of Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle completely became basically non-existent, and it's not good or fun to watch anymore. And I really do not want the same thing to happen to Cisco or Caitlin. And to be honest, I kind of already see it happening in Season 4 and then 5, and once Season 6 and possibly 7, 8, 9, 10 roll around, I know I will be sick of these characters. I know the show will feel restricted by their presence, and I know it will limit the show in terms of introducing new characters and bringing new aspects of the DC universe into the Flash, and new aspects of the Flash's mythos onto the Flash, and I really hope that doesn't happen to Cisco and Caitlin. This can all be avoided by giving one or two of them a very impactful, very emotional death that will rock the show and change the whole dynamic of the show, and I do think it should happen in this season. Number 1, and by the way, this isn't really technically the thing I want to see the most on the list, but I think it's the most appropriate to put it number 1, and that is the Flash should get a fixed cowl, and on top of that, Cicadas should 100% get a new costume. For the Flash, he had a terrible cowl in the first couple episodes of Season 5, and then they did change it a little bit, where they had the lighting go all the way down to the eyes instead of connecting to each other, which originally they did, and that was ridiculous, but they did change it a little bit. It fits Barry's head a little bit more as well, but it's still such a bad cowl. It looks so ridiculously cheap. It doesn't fit Grant's head still. It does fit a little bit better than the previous one, but it still looks way too loose. The lack of a chin strap and a connection to the neck doesn't help things either. It looks ridiculous, and in general, I don't think I mentioned this, but it looks so incredibly cheap, so they should fix that. And on top of that, they should fix Cicadas' costume. Cicadas' costume is probably the worst main villain costume that has ever appeared in the Arrowverse, and I'm serious, it looks ridiculously bad. It's ridiculously boring. It's just literally black. It's got no design to it either, and I really dislike this costume. So these are the number one things I want to see in the season: Barry and Cicadas' whole costumes. Although Barry's costume is actually not bad, his cowl and Cicadas' costume should be fixed, and if all 5 of these things happen, then this will be a great season. So anyway, let me know all your thoughts. What do you want to see in the second half of The Flash Season 5? And if you want to get angry at me for the number 2 pick, that's fine, but let me know in the comments down below if you disagree with me and why you disagree with me, and if you think Cisco and Caitlin can still remain characters on the show and great characters. Let me know if you think Matt Letcher should replace Tom Cavanaugh again. Let me know if you want Bart Allen to appear, and let me know if you want to see a further exploration of the future, and let me know if you want to see a fix to Barry's mask and Cicadas' costume. Let me know all of this in the comments, and if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.